Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and today I'm going to go through the contents of my Veto Pro Pac MC. It's the little kind of tool bag that I got recently. I've been working my way towards something like that for a long time. I have another Veto bag. I've got lots of other bags. I've explored, using like Pelican kits for tools. I used big lens carrying bags for padded containers, cable bags like that. Obviously I had a Hello Kitty one for a while, some of the more tactical large pouches, even this Yeti, just loading it up. But what I've decided to do is take this to what I think is the ultimate level right now, and that's with the Veto Pro Pac. I've done others where I've worked with different sized of the zipper pouches, and that's where I left. I just basically exhausted my zipper pouch. I've used the different gate mouth bags. For larger stuff, I've got some of the open tops. Here's a Craftsman Professional, an old one I got a long time ago, and that's what I throw drills and stuff in. So I'm working with a little bit different space right here. And I'm doing this from a DIY standpoint. Obviously the Milwaukee pack out stuff is great, and I use these overlanding and for outdoor stuff just because it's a big chunk of empty space, like cubic foot of whatever you want. However, what I'd like to do is take a look at this. There is my Veto MC, and this is a small bag. I chose the older model because it didn't have any of the side stuff. I didn't want that because a lot of times I'm just dragging it or throw it in the pickup and then I'm going to be pulling it out, or it's going to be dropping down in a slot full of a bunch of other bags in kind of an overlanding organization, or I just want to grab it and be able to move it anywhere. I do have a couple things on the outside. Obviously it has the zippers, but I do have a large locking carabiner here. That's in case I need to attach it to something. Sometimes might have to haul it or lower it. I also have two small carabiners. These are little Night Eyes ones. Notice one's red and one's green. That also allows me to lock the zippers. The new version has like a luggage lock, but you can lock these obviously. Anyone who wants in will just use a knife. But anyway, there's the green side. Those are my primary go-to tools. The red you'll see are the others. So let's dig into this thing. It is crowded in here, but I did follow some rules that I set for myself. And one of the rules is that I have to be no more than one other tool removal from getting the tool that I want. So even way at the back, my PB Swiss hammer just slides right in and out. Large flashlight in the back. This has got the magnetic one, but you can see here, this is a complaint I've mentioned before. I should be able to hook this right into this little slot, which I do not use for anything, but obviously I'm pointing towards my bag at this point. I think that's on backwards. Some people disagree, but that's what I think. The reason I don't use these is, again, I don't want to have something that I can catch, but I also do use them occasionally to hold a tool if I'm working. And I haven't done much work with this yet, but you'll see that there's some method to this madness. So anyway, on this side, no more than one tool out. So if I want to go way back to whatever's back here, I might be able to just pull it out, or I can take out the tool right in front of it to get to it. Whoops. So let's take a look at these. Here's where I'm starting. I've got my snap-on cable cutters, my zip tie cutters. Love those things, use them all the time. A full-size set of Knipex Cobras. I think this is the 250 millimeter. This is probably the standard most people start with, and it's also, I think, one of the most useful. My Milwaukee light, this is more flashlight, an area light with magnetic base, but I also have another light in here. My PB Swiss dead blow mallet. For screwdrivers, I'm using one slotted and one Phillips of the standard size. This is like a 1/4 inch, and this is a number 2 Phillips. These are my kind of two favorites. The slotted, this is a Wera with a kind of a demolition back, so you can really wail on it if you want to. And I just love the feel of this thing. But that's not the end. I have plenty of screwdrivers, but these are like two important go-tos. So I have full size of those. Going across the front, I've got some small Knipex, kind of super super fine needle nose pliers. My Knipex twin grips. These are fabulous with the kind of comfort handles. Here's a pair of Snap-on needle nose. These guys here, excellent cutters, plus they also have the ability to grab bolts with these curved teeth areas. There's 2 of those, plus the standard Talon grip on the front. I love these things. Here's Knipex stripper with a larger, kind of almost lineman-like beak on the front end of that thing. These are great. They come in a couple of different versions. This is the one I really like. Small Talon grip needle nose, so you can see where that fits in. This is a little too sensitive, you know, with those little fine beaks. So this thing gives you some more twisting and a little bit more strength. You can just see how much more beefy that is, even though it's a fine thing. One more over here. I've got some Knipex bent tips, but again, these are pretty fine, so I don't want to reef on them. They're for reaching, some wiring, pulling small things, occasional fuse, etc. Larger ones, I've got my Snap-on lineman. This is the smaller set. This is the 57 AHLP. I also have the larger set, of course, plus others, but for a kit like this, this is often plenty for what I do. Ratcheting mini Snap-on screwdriver. Love this thing. Interchangeable parts, so I have a couple of those in here. My Vamplier needle nose, strong needle nose. It's kind of a more traditional design, but these are also my screw extraction pliers, and I love these things. Couple of these. This is the Knipex plier wrench that has the smooth horizontal jaws, so this somewhat acts like a kind of a crescent wrench or adjustable wrench, and this is actually a pretty good size for me. I end up going to this for a lot more than the bigger ones or the smaller ones that I have, so that's why it lives in here. But I do also go with the small little, I think this is the 125 Cobra. So with my 2 Cobras here, here's kind of the lineup of this sort of angled wrench. So that's covers about everything there. I've got 2 PB Swiss drivers here. This one is a PB Swiss ratcheting, and it has a 1/4-inch socket bit already in it, and then this one is the PB Swiss. It's just the standard handle, so if I wasn't sure what I was going to get into and I want to just grab a couple of tools to dive in, I might be grabbing this guy. Milwaukee jab saw, or kind of a portable hacksaw or sawzall bladed thing. I put the wrecker blade in here. It's a real stout blade, cuts wood, cuts metal. It's not the greatest individual blade if you really know what you're getting into, but it's a good solid blade. I had to choose the length so it would close in there, but use that often. Got my Klein. This is a live voltage tester, non-contact, plus it also has an infrared temperature sensor in it as well. I don't know why that's reading 85. Oh, because it hit my hand. It's not 85 in here. And now I've got a couple of ratchets in here, Snap-ons, a couple of my favorites. This is their long-handled 1/4-inch. Everything's 1/4-inch. And then their short-handled flex head with a spinner on it. I find that incredibly useful. And then for the sockets, I've got one rail here, about 5 through 15 on the socket set here, using semi-deep 12 points. Here are 4 Snap-on screwdrivers. I've got these color-coded more. These are red for smaller and orange for larger. I guess I could have gone orange for Phillips and red for standard or something, but that's how this set ended up. And then I just like the handles on these for the smaller work. They're great, but I have a couple other options as well. Here's my Wera round head adjustable ratchet. This thing comes in really handy, especially in this position. It's possible to do kind of some of the ratcheting screwdriver work, but then also I can easily drop it down and turn it into a standard 90-degree ratchet. Home Depot orange pencil. These are the things you normally carry on the outside and they always get lost. Here's an extension. This particular one might go in here to turn this into a longer bit holder if I wanted. This PB Swiss here. Snap-on uses kind of more of a proprietary size, so I have this right here. This is actually a flex head that I can drop into this screwdriver to gain that advantage should I want that. Here's one of the little Klein multi-tip screwdrivers. I really like this small one that folds up. I find I often have it in my pocket, and it's a good working size. It just really feels good when you're zipping along, and then if I want to make it longer, I can just flip that around. So good design. Couple of wrenches in here. Most of the stuff I do is 10 and 12. Let's see what else. I forgot I've got two snap-on extensions here. Both of them are the wobble. But anyway, so I've got a 14, a 12, and a 10 with these reversible ratcheting wrenches. I love these things. They're just wildly expensive, and I don't need the whole set. And then I've got this 810, I think it's 0 degree, kind of, they call these high performance, and I guess that means it's weak. So you wouldn't want to wail on things, but the 8 and 10 comes in super handy. And then I like this not only because you can get more leverage without necessarily having to have a big grip on it, but also it gives me some working room because sometimes I'm, wedged in somewhere, and I might not be able to get in with two hands as easily. So it's kind of nice. So that is everything on this side. Now I'll flip it around and see what's on this side. This is something I've noticed. One of my rules is I want to put something in the corner that's rounded. In this case, I'm trying to keep this Milwaukee pen in the corner because then that will allow this to move up and down. It had slipped sideways, allowing this bit case to get in the way. So just something I'm kind of working with there. So what do I got in this side? A lot more stuff. Again, I'm trying to maintain that no more than one tool having to move to get to what I want rule. Let's start here. I've got my C.Jet stripping plier or stripping scissors. Done videos on these. Love these things. I've got a small snap-on punch here. This one I end up using for some special projects that require the pins to be removed from things to work on them. My 5/16 magnetic Klein bit driver, common for a lot of appliances. Two more down here. This is my custom-made snap-on pry bar where I modified an old screwdriver with a square shaft, put a magnet on it. Anyway, love this thing. Plus this little seal puller. I call these hockey sticks, but it comes in handy. Real smooth, round, doesn't damage electronics as easily as some of the others. But if I want to damage electronics, I've got my yellow or high-vis snap-on 6-inch pry bar, striking cap, pretty solid. Back here, I've got my Blue Point knife. Again, this is the one that shows up a lot. I really like this thing, so it stays close. One of my favorite crimper cutter strippers. This is Klein tools. I like that I can get way out at the end, to nip something, rather than have to wedge it down by the pivot in order to get it to cut. And when you have the stripping part further or below the pivot, you can literally grab the whole plier and easily move without getting the torque from trying to pull it at the tip. So it's nice. Here's another light. This is the Klein that actually has the ability to charge devices as well. So it's got an output as well as an electrical output as well as the light. Up here, I'll show you. This is a Milwaukee tape measure. I did something on these, but what I've done is that it had a little hanger or a little ring up here, and I just taped a neodymium magnet to it, and then that's what holds that that in place up there. So I have my favorite little tiny tape measure. My multimeter, this is the Klein MM400. Or 400. It's a good solid meter. I have no trouble with this thing. I do have larger meters, but this does about everything I need. Got my Snap-on Allen key set. This is the big set from 3 to 10. Here's a bit set. This is the Wera Diamond bit set. Covers all the Torx and general other sized bits of Phillips and slotted, plus an extra adapter that I can work with either of the drivers. My Snap-on indexing pry bar. My Snap-on little tiny measuring tool. This one's inches and kind of a ruler, inches and millimeters. I like the metal ones. Not the cheapest, but not the most expensive. But anyway, I'm always grabbing that. A couple more wrenches down here. This is kind of a fun little catch-all pocket. So what do I have here? I've got a longer Wera bit driver extension. A couple of different things. I've got a non just a basic extension there that doesn't wobble, and I've got that hooked to a flip socket. I've got a couple of flip sockets. I've got a few of these crow's feet too, of various sizes, 10s, 12s, 14s. A couple of their unusual shaped wrenches. I just like having these. I'm looking for places to use them where I don't necessarily have the ability to slide something like these in, but these are kind of my go-tos if I just want to grab something, and I'm pretty sure of the 12 or 14 size, not huge. What else? Got another smaller non-wobble socket extension and another smaller, this is I think a 810 flip socket, so real handy. And this one, I've got an adapter on here for a 1/4 inch, but then this is also a adjustable wrench, comma, crow's foot. You know, you can look at these however you want. It actually has a really low profile without the, when it's on a shorter setting, because you can see there is no extension moving out beyond the edge of this. More goodies in here. I have got smaller crow's foot and another smaller crow's foot with a slightly longer extension on it, and this one I believe is a PB Swiss as well. So I've got small and larger of these 1/4 inch ones. My Klein level, this has got a conduit clamp to it, but I like the color, and it's got 4 bubbles in a very small space. Plus, look at that overkill on magnets. I mean, you could probably tow a car with all those magnets. All right. And then in here, I've got my favorite pick. My favorite tools, and this is one of those picks. That shape is just immensely handy. I've got one of the striking scrapers from Snap-on. Just super beefy. Big chunk of steel. Love these things. A couple of more larger tools. This is the Snap-on wide mouth adjustable wrench. I think this is the 8-inch one, and that's just a good solid all-around design and size. I have bigger and smaller, but kind of the go-to is mostly that one. And then my Snap-on vice grips are in there. I have not used these much yet. I mean, I've used tons of ice grips, but not this particular one. But a couple of times I've used them, yeah, they are really solid, really strong, really overpriced. Whoops, did I say that? What do we got here? Let's see. We've got that Milwaukee kind of Sharpie. I've got one of my IPA diamond files. These are the flexible ones I've done videos on before. These particular ones are fabulous. I chose the middle one for this kit. They've got a narrower one and a wider one. I kind of split the difference. I've got a Snap-on stainless steel brush. The Snap-on ones, it's kind of funny. I don't know what's different, but they don't they don't hurt as much as some of my others. I mean, there's definitely pokey, but some of the others are really nasty. I don't know if it's a smaller brush or smaller bristle, but anyway, I don't mind having it in my bag. The other ones I won't. And then my Fiskars Pro utility knife, one of my favorites here. And lastly is some extra blades for the utility knife, and I've got the Fiskars Pro Carbon Max. I'm kind of testing these guys out just to see if you know, they're really that much better than the others. So far they seem to be pretty solid. But anyway, so there you have it. This is my current loadout for my new Veto Pro Pac MC as a DIYer. Thanks for watching. And with that, Doc out.